Right, Dave has just commented that he's got some issues, so let's start off on the net. G0MJW. Right, evening everybody. Who's here? I can see Jim's here, I can see Colin's here, and I think I saw DTH was here as well. So let's put Rob on the spot first. Why not? He'll like that. M0DTS. Do you want to transmit? G0MJW.
Us with today's mission, and surprisingly SpaceX's
Where's my headset audio? There we go. Right. Okay. Transition. There we go.
Okay, good evening all. My apologies. I was trying something new and it all went a bit wrong. Just working on some audio louder than Spinal Tap. Alright, I'll turn it down a bit. That's the addition. It's a audio preamp for the mic. Parish notices. Main thing is, please sign up for the convention on the Zoom site. Please sign up so we know how many we've got, and keep an eye on the forum for updates on what's going on. That's about all the news. So let's put it round. I know Rob has had a go. I've seen Colin. I hope Colin is ready to transmit. Then we'll go round to Mike for his over, and then Jim G0DQH, followed by Noel G8GTZ. So Colin, over to you. G4KLB and the net. G8GKQ.
Okay then, thank you very much. Quick, find the volume control. Right, okay, well, I haven't actually finished on SQ, so I'll have to hold this. I'll have to look in this microphone and that microphone. But this is a KLB simulcast. We're going out over the satellite and through GB3 SQ. So just caught me out there a little bit. So hopefully that's all okay. Okay. I had a bit of a funny issue on the streaming actually, that the signal went a bit jumpy. Not had that before, and that's using SR systems, so it's I don't think it's anything to do with that or any other transmission. But anyway, there we go. So Rob had a perfect picture, says Dave at G8ADM on our forum. Not much up on. Hopefully that one's working up there. I've got the Q monitor up, so that should be working. But we've mainly been testing that Ryde update. That it's not a release or anything like that yet. It's just a new bit of software for a fix. Mine's still going, by the way. That's what I'm just going to convey today. I've been running 24 hours without incident, so hopefully that will might be good to go into the release version. So well done to everyone who's been involved in that, because that's all. I know it's been a lot of work. That's 2 weeks of solid work by several people. So very good. The picture's not quite so brilliant on here at the moment for some reason. I may have some parameter wrong. I'm using a bit of an ancient port stand really. It's my sort of go-to one really. So we're not using anything particularly fancy. It had. Oh right, okay. Right, that's good then. Okay, that'll do for me, I think, and then I'll say 7.3s to those watching on GB3 SQ. This is a bit of a first. I don't think I've done a simulcast before through the local repeater and the satellite at the same time. But why not, really? Having a bit of fun. Okay, then. Catch up with you a bit later. Can't see who it's going to actually on there. I don't know if my chat is frozen. So I'll just drop carrier gracefully. G4KL.
I don't know about gracefully, Colin. Right, I need to mute my own audio before I go mad. G0MJW, thank you, Dave. Yeah, no, you need to turn it down to 11, really, not up to 11 at the moment. It's incredibly loud, and I'm incredibly quiet, so there's quite a dynamic range. Anyway, let's go on to the image of me at least. Just discovered a slight problem with the new board, so I don't know if Noel's ordered any new ones yet, it doesn't really matter, but this particular device here, which might be highlighting itself, was a little bit too close to the edge with the box, because the grooves in the box turn out to be quite a lot deeper than the grooves in the box that I had. But when the new one arrived, I discovered that they were quite a lot worse, so I've just moved it a little bit to fix that. That's why I'm messing around with these things. I'll do some measurements and see how well it fits, and sort it out for another version, but doesn't really matter for the in terms of the layout of the board. It's just a matter of just grabbing it and shifting it to the right a bit. Anyway, the other thing is this multi thing is going on now, so just I can see quite a lot of carriers are on the satellite, so maybe tune a few of them in. We've got Yves, who will be presumably transmitting some very, very low rate, and he's got an excellent picture. The beacon, of course, something else, and the other one, the black one, is just somebody who just decided to disappear as soon as I tuned them in, as they do. Wave to you as well. Not a lot to report. It was an exciting weekend. I assume everyone was watching the AMSAC Colloquium, the only game in town. I gave a little bit of QO100 demo and annoyed both Paul and Noel simultaneously, so that's quite an achievement. Right, let's go round to whoever it is next. I think it's probably Rob, to have another go, having fixed his audio. So M0DTS G0MJW.
Right, let's see if it works this time. Yeah, looks like we're okay now. Yeah, I'm a bit of a newbie on OBS directly into the Pluto. I normally rely on the encoder box to the HDMI encoder box to do all that work, but I've actually ran out of network sockets in the shack. Yeah, I've actually run out of network sockets in the shack, so I haven't got enough to plug the Pluto in on the network and the encoder on the network, so that's the problem I've got at the moment. Hence the reason I've got the Pluto plugged directly into the computer and then running off OBS to over UDP into the transmit. So yeah, I've totally missed out on this one, Mike. So you may have to elaborate on your quad receiver, because I must have been out the loop there. I haven't seen that, but I haven't been on the net for like 3 or 4 weeks or something. So and nobody's been recording it recently, so I haven't actually seen it. So that must be something I've missed. Oh, Brian. Okay. Oh well. You may be able to update us anyway. But I imagine it's linked to Ryde in some fashion or another, or well, Longmind, I guess. It's probably down the same lines as what I've been doing here in the background for a while, just never completed. I made all the options to put 2 tuners in, but I never actually built the second tuner up and tried it, so something I'm going to have to do, no doubt. What else have we got this week? Or last 4 weeks? Actually, very little to report for the last 4 weeks. Enjoyed the activity that we've had out and about. 4 meters didn't work particularly well for that activity weekend. Just not enough signal, unfortunately. Pretty bad conditions. When was that? That must have been like 3 weeks ago now. Okay, yeah, this is... Yeah, well, we'll be back to the encoder box next week, don't worry, because I managed to pick up a network, a Netgear 24-port gigabit switch, so that'll replace the 8-way one that I've got in the rack under the bench here, and I should be able to get back onto the normal encoder then, and normal transmissions will resume. That have been going quite well recently, so there we go. 8-port for 12. Oh, this was the 24-port for 14 pounds. The only problem is I need to replace the fan on it. That's all. So that's probably another 3 or 4 quid. Was it 4? 3 or 4 pound. I ordered one anyway. So there we go. So yeah, unfortunately, not a lot to report. Just been playing around with the KM stuff. Loads of code stuff on that. We've been working on and doing a lot of thinking about, once I do my bit, how does it kind of all plumb into the original system. So things keep cropping up. But there we are. Right, so... Oh yeah, yes Colin, that is Clive G4FVP's 23 centimeters feed. It's... which one is it? It's not a septum feed, but it's dual circular polarity for 23 sems. So yeah, that's been here for testing for quite a long time, but he hasn't put it to use yet. It worked quite well. Right, his dish is only 1.8 meters, so you can imagine how big that is on the actual dish itself. It's massive. Right, that's enough for me. So round 2, Jim. G0DQH, M0DTS.
Okay. Well, I've got sound, I think, now. Yeah, good evening, everyone, from DQH. I'm not going to stay around too long tonight. We've got a problem with creaky floorboards. And I've got, I'm running IP glue into the chipboard, between the chipboard grooves on the flooring, so I'm in the middle of doing that at the moment. So in a moment I'll be disappearing. I'll just bring up there we go, because otherwise I'm just talking through the call sign. I have a number of these if anybody is interested. They're 9 to 36 volts in and 12 volts out at 1¼ amps. So I've got quite a few of these. If anybody would like some, or would like one or two, I'd be quite happy to send them. They're ex-equipment, they've been used, but they work fine. Okay, who's next on the list? G8GTZ. I'll pass it round to you. This is G0DQH in Chandersford. Next person to take, please. From G0.
Yes, evening all. I thought I'd turn it down. Sorry. Well, good to see so many people on. Sorry, I missed the net control at the beginning. I've been messing around with narrowband until I'd actually got 12 volts on the LMB. So it was a bit selective as to who it decoded, and Dave dropped. Dave didn't make it, and Jim did, and obviously Mike did, but yeah, anyway, let's fix that. And that might explain why I was going to use my Portsdown 4, but I couldn't get it to work with the Pluto. But that might explain why I couldn't get it to work. It came up, but I couldn't get any decodes. So I presume it wasn't strong enough. So I may try that next time round, just to see. What's going on here? Cat 20 prep, really. I seem to have drawn the straw and will be the guy pulling the levers in the background, so I'm having to learn a lot about Zoom and how Zoom webinars work as opposed to meetings. And then I'll be running vMix here to do some of the more fancy stuff, but yeah, so Cat 1020 is taking a bit of effort. Went out yesterday and did some 47 and 76 gigs. Well, I didn't. Dave FRE came over and we went out, and Neil LDR was on the other end. I haven't got 47 gigs, but they between them they managed 52k on 47 gigs DATV. Pretty impressive. That was from Butser Hill up to Coombe PMR site. So that was quite good. We attempted to do some 76 gigs. We managed a relatively short path, 28 kilometres. But things overtook us, like Neil blew up his mini tuner and it started to rain. And so we didn't manage 76 gigs on the longer path. We did narrowband FM, but by the time we got to TV, things just conspired against us. And boy, it was cold yesterday for October. Wasted the weekend looking at the RSGB and AMSAT conferences. All good stuff. Jim Bacon, the weatherman, got the award of the day, I think, or the award of the week for his presentation in the morning. That was absolutely excellent. And we got another contest this weekend. So it's 24, 47 and 76 gigs, and I should be out there. And also I think they're making it a 122 gig activity day, so be out playing funny frequencies again. Right, that's it from me. Who takes it over to Bernie? Over to Bernie. G4XJW on the BATC Net HETZ.
Right, I'm hoping that comes through. Yes, evening all, G4XJW near Cambridge. I know I'm getting mixed up on audio, so I wasn't quite sure last week, but I'm now fairly well aware I'm on the wrong encoder, but I don't touch anything now, so since you lived with me last week, I hope you will do this week as well. But just give me if one of you will give me tell me that was so. Okay, Mike, and I assume people are getting audio, but if my audio is coming through as it should do, then I have something strange happening here which I don't understand. And yeah, the conventions, both the conventions were interesting in their own way. But what that always does when there's a Saturday and Sunday is just knock me totally out of sync, and I've done really no TV this week at all, other than produce lots and lots of caption cards. So for the next 3 months you'll see a different one. I could use them all at once, but I want to leave them to last. So I haven't been doing anything, but you know there's a few people in the area. Dave G6GZT GZ8, sorry, is making progress. It looks like he'll be on from the Fens, if you like, next, and then Jenny GZ-VQH. But we'll see anyway, it depends how things go. Everybody likes showing PCBs, so I'm gonna. It's got nothing to do with TV, but I've been building a load of the optical boards up which use the LED as the detector as well, and it took me ages to find an LED that worked really well as a detector, and I can't really tell any difference between that and an ordinary detector diode, so I'm pleased with that. And I'm not doing much in terms of activity myself, but I don't know whether that shows up. Will that show up? Yeah, that's not going to show up very well, really. But I get the odd order. I build them up. I don't put them out as kits anymore because that seems to be much harder to do. And you get asked, will you look at the thing that I've made a complete mess of? And I'm too lazy for that. So it's interesting that there's some activity. It's nearly all in Poland, but there's somebody near where you are, Rob, is suddenly interested. I've sent two up to him, and Stuart CYW asked me if I would let him have some. So there's a bit of activity again in the UK when it's been fairly silent for a while. Anyway, that's not TV. I'm going to leave it at that, I think, for the first over. I'm not totally with it today. I have these problems from time to time. So I think it goes on to John G7 JTT. Oh yeah, so it does. G4XJW near Cambridge.
Just wait for that so I can kill the audio. Right, okay. Good evening all. First off, apologies to Bernie. I had intended to bring up my optical gear that I used, I don't know how many years ago now. A considerable number of years ago anyway. But it's still in the garage. I totally forgot about it. What I will try and do is run downstairs after this over and see if I can get it without making too much noise. To Mike, yes, I managed to see yourself, Matt and Jim, the talks on the AMSAT thing. Matt's was great actually. I really enjoyed that, and I think the thing is that came across was that he genuinely wants to help where he can, and I think that was really nice, especially in the particular climate we're in. I mean, he did hint that his backers want results, and we all know that money wants money, etc. So I get that, but yeah, I was really quite pleased with his talk actually. It was, and there was quite a bit of history on there which I wasn't quite aware of either. What else have I wrote on there? Oh, those things that Jim was talking about, the supply buck converter things, whatever you want to call them, they are isolated as well. So if you're trying to completely build something that's isolated from everything else, they are worth playing with. I use one on my e-probe thing, so it's totally isolated from everything else in the shack. And you guys keep buying things on eBay, and I was just going to say I got one of these. It's an older one. It's not a 1 gigabit one, whatever, but these things turn up quite often on FreeCycle. So if you're not familiar with FreeCycle, it's kind of like eBay without any money exchange. So you join your local FreeCycle group, and all sorts of things turn up on it. I've had, in fact, the monitor I'm watching there came off it, a 22-inch HP monitor. This thing is a 26 port. 2 ports are 1 gigabit, but the rest of them are only 100 or 10100 for free. A company was upgrading, and they gave them away. So yeah, in a day, I guess they were worth an absolute fortune. So yeah, FreeCycle if you're not seen it before. And lastly, before I hand it over to Jim, work. I think I've got about another 2 weeks left before I probably disappear off the face of the earth. I'm now being told I've got to work evening, day, and all weekend. So sleep is going to be a very precious commodity. So I may well be about, but I may not be quite as often as I am perhaps at the moment. So anyway, that's it. Oh yeah, sorry, ignore the clock. The Jetson's not connected to the internet, so it's a closed loop, and I keep forgetting to set the clock beforehand. So that's that. So right to Jim, and I am going to disappear because I'm going to go downstairs and get this optical kit and bring it up for the second time round. G7NTG, G7JTT.
Yeah, good evening all. I'll just leave it a minute until I get video and make sure everybody else is going to get it too. And we've got some sound, so I turn that off. Yeah, good evening. Thank you, John. Long time no see. Yes, I've turned my sound off. Yeah, I haven't been up to a huge amount. Well, I have been up to a lot over the last week. Been making some PCBs from some stuff that wouldn't peel. So I used some 2-inch PVC tape, good quality stuff, and stuck it on both sides of the board, and then cut away the PVC I didn't want, and then etched it. And just a small tray of etching, and lo and behold, there's a W6PQL single XRF286 board. It's measured out and carved with a scalpel on the plastic, but that worked very nicely. Still to try it. Also, I've been busy building another PA, but not for 2.4 gig this time. This one is a 23/7s one. It's a W6PQL board with two XRF286s, and it's driven by an MRF 9045 on an Andrew module, with a little biasing board to bias the Andrew module, and that in turn is driven by an MHL 9838, and so it ends up as a PA in the same case I do on the 2.4 gig ones, and that one's all ready to go. So been quite busy. Let's move the camera again. I'm now using a Logitech C920 webcam, and that's where the sound's coming from, so quite pleased with that. That works very nicely, and not much else to report on this time round, and I may well be in touch with Jim about the PSUs. I'll probably drop you an email on that, Jim. Might be interested in a couple of them. Okay then, so it's round to Paul. It's round to M0EYT from G7NTG.
One, two, 1, 2. Sorry, I'll repeat that. So, evening to everyone, and nice to see you. I've just discovered the blimmin' slider was, for some reason, turned down in the OBS. So hopefully it's outputting, although I can't hear it. Oh no, I can hear it. Yeah, sorry, I'm in H.265. I promise I've got H.264 selected on the software, but obviously software's involved. You might notice something different about my picture, but I'm not going to ruin it by telling you what it is. What I've been up to in the past week, or well, a couple of weeks maybe, or past week, I've built a 70 meg add-on board for my FDM Duo, and the plan is to get rid of the old boat anchor FM 1000 and the PW Meon thing, which is in here, but I've taken the PA out of it to reuse. So yeah, not much more to report from me, but nice to see everyone on the net tonight. Let me just quickly look at the screen to see who is oh, you've spoiled it by saying I've got a new lamp, and you're absolutely right. It is no expense spared, and this is it here. I didn't want to ruin it by making everyone think I'd got a proper lamp, but this is in fact an old inspection lamp that I found in a skip. Even had a working bulb in it, which is really good. Right, round to Dave. I'll stop waffling. G8GKQ M0EYT in the BATC net.
M0EYT and the BATC net. G8GKQ. Right, I've turned the audio down a bit more. I would appreciate a level report on the audio, please. Yeah, really good lighting there, Paul. Certainly a bit better anyway. Okay, activity here, mainly centred around this device, or one of these devices, or two of these devices, the Pluto. I've been working on the louder than everyone else. Okay, going down. I've been working on the Pluto SIGGEN that's part of Port Sound 4. So that's actually released now. But the thing I've done today is I've been having a look at the second harmonic. I know there was something in Jubus about using the second harmonic on 10 gigs, and it's definitely there and usable. A bit more or less. Thank you, Noel. That's a bit less. I think I'm getting to the bottom of my pop now. It's definitely there and usable. Good level for def. Maybe it's still very loud. Thank you. So I might even try and put that on the front page, so you can select, use the second harmonic, and just key in 10368 or something like that. I have also run out of network sockets in the shack. I've got 12 gigabit sockets, and that ain't enough. Good to hear you're still working on the optical, Bernie. Never managed to get onto that really for many years. Noel, I wasn't there at the start, that's why you missed me. I had a transmit issue. I don't know what it was, but that's why I wasn't there. And like Noel, I've been doing a bit of Cat 20 prep, more on the admin side. Noel's got all the button pushing to do. And also working on the Ryde receiver. We've had some problems with the Ryde, with it not running for very long with some tuners, but we think we've solved those. So hopefully a new Ryde release to come out soon with a few minor improvements in it. Shop's buzzing along. Need to make some more SD cards today, and also some streams for Jota. Things are busy weekend with Jota this weekend, so take a look at the Scouts website. BATC is helping with that. Right, it will go round to Rob M0DTS after this, so we get back into the normal order. So it'll be M0DTS, then G4KLB, then G0MJW. I think Jim has done what he's going to do. So it'll be G8GTZ, G4HGD, G7JTD, G7NTG, and M0EYT. It's good to see so many people on. So round to Rob, M0DTS and the net, G8GKQ.
Yeah, I think we should be there. Yeah, we're there. Right. Yeah, I thought I'd change the test screen. That was a nice picture when I was out portable when the Troppo was on. We worked quite a bit on 77s, so that was the location. That was the antennas we had up. 2 meters, slanty 2 meters as usual. I need to buy the pub. Yeah, that will be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. Well, the other guys do field day in the little field just behind the pub there. You can see a bit of green where like a camp area is and what have you. Do the National Field Day for the Yata pub. So yeah, I just parked just up the road because that wasn't accessible and the car park was full. So, but yeah, it's a lovely location. And that beam headed there is actually due south, so you can see it just goes straight over the top of the pub. And yeah, it's a lovely spot. I can get off the road quite nicely there as well. There's quite a bit of a pull in off the road. So as far as it goes, most roads up there, there's not much space to pull off at all. It's going to. Okay.
You're back okay, Rob?
I'm back, am I? Oh, okay, it does come back. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Anyway, strange occurrences. I need to get back to my. Normal system. This is just temporary. What else to say? Oh, optical. Yeah. If I don't know whether anyone. Well, I presume anyone didn't know the tests that I did, but I will be getting back to them this autumn, winter. It's nearly winter now, isn't it? The non-line of sight stuff. So if anyone wants to check that out, you can go on my website, and then if you look on the buttons on the top, look for Optical DX, and then in there there's the information about the TX and RX system and whatever I was using for the optical comms for non-line of sight. So basically I had 10 watt red LED and a small lens in front of it, maybe what 8 centimeters lens, something like that, giving quite like about a 10-degree beam width, horizontal, vertical, somewhere around about there, and that was steerable from home, and I could turn it on and off, and it was pretty bright. I wasn't running at 10 watts, I was only running about 2 watts into the diode. And I did various tests from nearby, a few kilometers, right the way out to, where was the last one? The last one wasn't quite as long. The furthest DX was about 40, 50 kilometers or thereabouts, I think. Something like that. Can't quite remember which test it was now. Yeah, anyway, out to at least sort of 50k obstructed, so I could only see the glow above T-side over this way, and that's what we were beaming at. So yeah, if you want to check out that, there's quite a bit of info on my website of the various tests done and things. So we'll be going for 60, 70, 80 kilometers this winter, hopefully. So we'll be back on that soon. Right. 7-3 to all, and I shall be back on next week, I'm pretty sure. I'm off work next week on Thursday, so we'll be on then. So around to call in, G4KLB, M0DTS.
Okay, thanks a lot. You disappeared off the cat. There is a little carrier on the bottom there, actually. I don't know what that was all about. But small signal underneath me, so I put the power up a tiny bit. So that should sort that out. Okay then. Well, as for lighting, well, I have also got a bit technical and have this this little device here, which is in an attempt to be a little bit more professional when we do the zooming. I haven't done the zooming before, so so I've got this thing is actually adjustable. There's a little adjuster here that you can do the brightness. I don't know if it'll work for this particular setup, but you can sort of fiddle it around a bit. So we'll be playing with that over the course of the next. I don't know why the X-Whale's ringing me. It's most inconvenient.
Yeah, Colin?
Yeah, I'm on the satellite at the minute.
What I wanted to say was that there's some meals downstairs and some pasties.
Oh, okay, thanks. I'll catch up with you in a minute.
And there's a bag with some bits in it to take as well. Alright?
Okay, thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Oh, that's she's very thoughtful, you see. She's thinking if I've got enough to eat tonight, because I'm off to work almost immediately after this. I didn't know she was out. Oh dear, dear. Anyway, what else have we been doing? Well, Mike discovered one of these on eBay, a little dongle, and they range from between £3 and £10 depending where you buy them. And Terry, up there next to Rob, has found that in some modes it works on a port stand. So you can put your HDMI camera in. I think it's very limited modes at the moment, but he had something with 8 PSK on he was showing. But this little device is recognised in OBS. You get a bit of a job sometimes, and VLC it sort of works, but no, I haven't got the settings right on the thing. But really inexpensive, and appears to be it's quite well made physically. It's quite well made actually, and seems to do the business. So that's that might come to the fore a little bit later on. I don't know about port stand use. We won't give Dave that headache just yet. But certain modes it actually worked as is. So another little thing to play with. My primary interest was to add my normal camcorder into OBS. That was and it does that superbly. Really good indeed, and really inexpensive. So that's what they look like. Lots of sellers have got them, I think. But there we are. But yeah. Quite an inexpensive thing. I say they just come. The packaging is fairly basic, but but nonetheless, that's what they come like. So yeah, pretty good really. So that was a bit of a find. So I've tried several things before. VLC is the hardest to accept things. It doesn't like lots of things, but it would take that. I had jumpy video, so I'm not quite sure if there's any setting that can remedy that. I've had that before with other things at the lower end of the market, so to speak. But yeah, if you're prepared to wait, I got that from the UK. But if you about £8 I paid for it. But if you're prepared to wait, you can get far at considerably less if you want to. So there we are. So that's about it from here. I say I'm just about to scoot off to work, but yeah, very good indeed. VMix, yes, thank you. Yes, no, you're quite correct. I get those two mixed up. They both begin with a V. Yeah, vmix is what I meant to say. Thank you, Noel. Oh dear, dear. Oh, there's Terry's on there now. Is he? Works as a HDMI monitor on. Oh right, excellent. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Mike. I don't know if yours has turned up yet. Yours was a little bit slower in coming. Mine came extremely quickly. That suggested it was 1 or 2 days, and indeed it was for me. But there we go. Oh no. Oh dear, oh dear. Right, okay then. It's Mike next, is it? Excellent. Right. So G0MJW to take it. G4KL.
Right. Let's hope I'm not interfering with myself, so to speak. Get rid of the audio again, and you can all hopefully not hear the echo. Not a lot to add, really. The software from Brian and Tim is still working perfectly. There are some very annoying people, though, on QR100 who put up a carrier and then drop it down just as you've tuned it in. Who don't seem to be able to leave it up for more than a second or two. But I guess that's up to them. Not a lot to add, really. Jim, I was really interested in that amplifier. I could never get the one to work from PQL properly. I could get less than his required power and less than gain, but I had to put a lot more in, and even then it's saturated. So I think there's something different or something wrong. I don't know. I had two versions of his boards as well. I built 4 of them in the end, and they're all about the same. They do give about, I don't know, 140 watts, something like that. But you never get the 300 watts out of a pair that was claimed, or at least I didn't. So there you go. And I think it's much better now to use a more modern LDMOS device. I know they're cheap, these devices. At least they were cheap until the QR100 came along and made the boards more expensive. But they're good enough. The LDMOS new devices give a lot more power, 250 watts, 300 watts from a single device or a single Gemini type device. Anyway, I'm interested in the 2.4 gigahertz version because I could see that could be useful. I tried modifying one of the palettes to the modifications that were printed, and it made it worse. So it's a pity, really, because it was working on 2.3 and now it's not working at all, at least not efficiently. It gives about 50 watts out, something like that. Whereas an well, I don't know what it was, an ex-telecoms device I've had for years and couldn't sell at the Rally for several years. I tried that, and 10 watts in, 100 watts out straight away. So that was quite surprising, but there you go. Right, nothing to add. So let me just check who is next and pass it on. GTZ. Over to you, Noel. G0MJW.
Okay. Yeah, might just put the music on. Okay, so this is the Portsdown 4 and Pluto with the webcam, C920 webcam. Nothing too much to report this end, over and above. Apart from actually Mike didn't cover what the board was. Rob asked, and it's fairly common knowledge that with designing a PCB, or Mike has designed a PCB that will house 2 tuners and the Raspberry Pi. So it plays host to the Raspberry Pi, and it can be populated with 1 or 2 tuners. So the first application is for a single board Ryde, and then Brian has been doing some work that if you put 2 tuners on it, it will display on the Pi desktop up to 4 channels. They are completely separate and different named products, and so the PCB is just going to be called the BATC USB DATV receiver or something like that. That's what the PCB will be called, but it's got 2 applications. Brian's got a prototype running. As far as the Ryde goes, we haven't got that far. I keep saying that. Tim and Dave and Phil haven't even run a prototype on it yet, but the plan is that will be at some point in the future a single board Ryde. So that's what Mike's doing, and very interesting. So there we are. I think that's about all from me. I need to go off and learn about OBS as well, but yes, hopefully we've got one more net before Cat 20. There will be an email coming out over the weekend with all the information that was on the forum, going out to all the members about Cat 20. So hopefully we'll get a good turnout and have a bit of fun there. Right, round to Bernie again, and I'll say good night and 73 to you all. Oh yes, that's the really important thing. In the single board Ryde application, you can put a tuner and the Raspberry Pi 4 on it, and you don't need the USB module, because the USB module is now the most expensive component at about £26. So it's eventually going to be cheaper than doing a USB module, USB tuner into a Pi. So that's what it's about. But I will re-emphasise again, this is all development stuff, and particularly single board Ryde is nowhere near release. So if you want to build a Ryde, do it with 2 boards at the moment. There we go. You see, Tim is saying that once he finds time, that's the key thing. If somebody comes up with the time machine, you can have it fairly quickly. Unfortunately, I just sit here dreaming up the bright ideas and ordering the PCBs. Did a big order this week actually for PCBs in the shop, trying to stock it back up before Christmas, and something that happens after Christmas. And so lots of PCBs on order. So all of the Ryde PCBs will be back in stock in a week or so's time. And yeah, so just in time for Christmas. Anyway, good. All right, I'll pass it on round to Bernie, and catch you all next week.
Yeah, okay, Noel, thank you. Let's change over. Yeah. Right, this time I've got my notepad in front of me because I'm terrible at remembering things. And a few people, I think John, you mentioned the free cycle, and a few people around here have mentioned that to me. But by the time I get home, I've totally forgotten what the name was. So I have written it down. I'll have a look at that. I've certainly seen some good stuff that's come through there, so that's good. And the convention, I hadn't registered, so I apologise about that. I'll go and have a look. I'll certainly be listening. So presumably, if nothing else, other than as a courtesy, you really want people to say that they're going to be about. So I'll do that. And John, I'm looking forward to seeing that optical transceiver. That'll be interesting. I'm not actually doing a great deal. This thing here, I did 3 or 4 years ago, and it's only because occasionally I get asked, are there any more boards left? And say this group in Poland, I get emails from the one chap, I should think every 4 or 5 months, and he wants a few more. So I send them over. I mean, that's only quarter of a watt input, 200 milliwatt, something like that, and they've got up to 30 kilometres with that, but with good signals. I've seen the video and they've got good signal to noise. But when I tested it, they're only using a 100mm circular lens. And when I tested this out, which was up in North Lincolnshire across to Barry, 8AGN, he was 60 kilometres away. And just to show how sensitive that was, I know this is the LED as a detector. Before I even got the tube, that normally sits in an aluminium tube which I slide into the light box. I use an A4 Fresnel lens, and I moved it like that, and I could hear Barry straight away before I ever got anywhere near the light box. But he was using one of those 10-watt LEDs that Rob mentioned, whose name I always forget, the LED, but the ones that were ex-projector. And I had a little go trying to do cloud bands, Rob, but I just didn't do much good. And there was a local and myself had a go at communicating. He's only about 7 or 8 kilometres away, and if we got a result, it wasn't cloud bounce, it was just the same mode you'd have if you saw a motor car just as I got to the brow of the hill. I would receive that, but didn't do any good with cloud bounce, so I'm impressed how far he got. But not as impressed as I am with the TV that he did a few years ago where you were using FM, because that was a good distance on that. And I think I talked to Stuart, CYW, last week I think it was, and he was saying he was using an optodiode for the detector there, so, and you're doing that at what, I think it was 20 megs or something, so I think that was, that was very impressive. So anyway, that's that one. And right at the beginning somebody said they thought Jim Bacon's talk was the best, and I think I did as well. But there was a couple of good talks on the RSGB stand, and William Eustace in the afternoon, he's a local here, he was at the university here, and we all know what he's like, so I had to listen to that, and I enjoyed it as well, although maths is not something that does a lot for me, but it was interesting listening to his talk on the maths that was associated with DSP work, I think. What else? Well, I think it was you, Jim, that was saying you were lacking in time. But it's really great when you retire, and that's the state I'm in now. It's not so much I get more done, but the quality is better, and you're doing things at a slower pace, which I really like. I'm just waiting to see how long the pension lasts, but it's still coming out at the same rate. But I can't believe that's going to last. Well, I think that's about it really. Yeah, so I'll put it on to John, and I'm looking forward to seeing the optical, John. G7JT.
Bear with me 2 seconds. Sure I'm getting that. Let's turn the audio off. Come on, where am I? Right. Okay, I can't find all the kit, but everything from old boxes to bits of PCBs to brand new components. Anyway, this is where this came from. So it's just an array of LEDs. So on the back of it, in the good old fashion of me not being able to there we go. And it will just, I think it does. Hang on, have I just killed my transmission somewhere? Seeing myself. Some copper fittings, so whatever those diameters are, with an end cap, a reducer, and then down to whatever it is there. Everything inside there is the optical detector with the op amp amplifier. So that went off into the box. I can't find the other box it goes into at the moment, but this thing is phenomenal. I can the different involved as well at the time. Anyway, there we go. I'm waffling. Right, round G7NTG in the group page.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure whether the sound's coming through all right. I think it is. I'll just make sure on that. Yep, that's all right. Yeah, a bit of a delay because the delay on the ports down 4 is quite long now, and it's knowing when to press the button. And when somebody's handing it over to you, that's usually too late. I don't want to cut them off at all. Anyway, yeah, I shan't hold it for long because we're getting on a bit. But in answer to Mike about the PA, what did I do to get 150 watts out of them all? Let's see if I can carefully move the camera so you can see the input stage. And there we go. You can see I've used 2 trimmers on each transistor on the input. One is for the input capacitor and the other one is the trimmer down to ground. And that gives quite an increase in signal level. But otherwise the rest of it is more or less as Jim intended. I haven't got a milled channel for the transistors. I use copper sheet packing underneath the printed circuit boards of about 0.5 mil, 0.7 mil, whatever I've got around. It all seems to be okay, although they don't sit down perfectly onto the PCB. The tabs there, I just run plenty of solder underneath and that does it okay. So I've never had any great problems. I tell you, hello, I've frozen up. That's better. One thing I do, all my power supplies are 28 volts. I never run them off 26 anymore. All the MRF 286s I use and XRF 286s run off 28 volts, and that includes all the amplifiers I've got lent out to people. And there must be 4 power amps in use by amateurs transmitting TV around this area. So the XRF 286 handles 28 volts without any problem. After all, it is a 65 volt device, so I can't see any problem with that at all. It's never given me any grief, and I've never had one fail. The only problems I have had are with transistors I've bought from China, which were useless, absolute rubbish. So the only ones I've found to be any good are ones I've actually unsoldered from Spectrian amplifiers. Anyway, very interesting that, John, on the light transmission. That big batch of LEDs looks like part of a stage light. Use a lot of LED lights for stage lighting, and I had banks of them in the band I was in a little while ago when I was still playing regularly, and in fact I built a lot of my own LED lighting with similar banks of PCBs. Lots and lots of soldering. Right, anyway, that's enough from me. I'm going to say 73s to everybody, and thanks for a very enjoyable net, and I'll pass it round to Paul again. M0EYT G.
Right, evening again everyone, and yeah, really interesting on the optical stuff. It's something I have never dabbled with, but would like to have a mess about with it, of course. But I suppose it's finding some hardware, although I notice a lot of the traffic lights are LED, so they will probably be quite a good source of red LED banks. Just have to find a friendly traffic engineer, I suppose. But yeah, quite interesting projects going on. It puts me to shame for basically being a bone idle and not actually doing much. But I just need to get through the busyness patch at work and make hay and all that stuff, and then hopefully have time. And at some point in the near future, my new light should arrive, and I think the new light is 5-watt warm white LED. So I'll be able to get rid of my dangerous lead light. Noticed it didn't have an earth actually. Anyway, it's fine, and I'll replace that with an LED light ring, and then I'll probably do something about my dash cam. I'm using one of these things here as the camera, in fact, because it has a PC webcam mode, and I'm far too tight to spend tuppence on a normal USB webcam, especially when this is working. Right, that's enough waffle from me. So 7 threes to everyone, and nice to see everyone on the net. And I'll pass it round to Dave. G8 GKQ M0 E1.
M0EYT, GKQ. I'll talk quietly because Paul was pretty quiet, and let you turn the volumes down slowly. Yeah, webcams are pretty expensive at the moment. We were looking online yesterday, and C920s seem to be up around the 180 quid mark. Absolutely amazing. What am I doing? What's the problem, Mike? 1, 2. Oh, that's not good, is it? 1, 2. Oh, with 2 Plutos. What am I doing with 2 Plutos? One's in a box. The other one is around the place for other testing. That's all. C920, £100. Yeah, they're all around that price. Which, considering about a year ago Amazon had them on offer for 25. Like Mike, I bought one for 25. Jim, transmit switching. What I do, I'll just up the power because I notice it's going down a bit. What I do is I leave the Lime and the transmitter running. It's been running since the start of the net, and I have an extra switch in the PTT line for the PA. So I just switch the PA. Everything else runs all the time, and then I get instant on, if you know what I mean. So I think that's the way to, and then you can check your transmission. You can check your transmission by tuning to 249.75 if you need to, while somebody else is transmitting as well. Okay, well I think that's it for tonight. Thank you very much all for joining the net. It's been a really interesting net, and same time at same place next Thursday, and don't forget the Saturday of QO1 of CAT24 we'll be doing a QO100 net for as many people as possible. I'd like to see even the lurkers, if you can make an attempt to transmit that night with a brief over. It'd be good to see how many people we can get on QO100 that night. So with that, I'll close the net, let it go to a free-for-all. But thanks everybody for coming on. G8 GKQ and the BATC Net QRT.
Oh, maybe that's a little bit too much power. Anyway, I'm in the way here, aren't I? That's what we were talking about. Built up. So instead of FTDI modules, there are PICs, which take the data from the 2 transport streams and send them to the Raspberry Pi, which can then receive up to 4 of them and do clever stuff with them. It can display 4 H.264 streams or 1 H.265 stream and 3 H.264 streams. And here is the culprit device, which is just a couple of millimeters too close to the edge for the intended box, so I just shifted across a bit in the next revision of the board, but never mind. That's the plan. Right. Sorry for transmitting H.265, but I clicked on the wrong box. G0MJW.